Georgia, at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, and just named the world's top reformer. Georgia, a rapidly modernizing country with ancient traditions of hospitality, which now welcomes the world for investment in travel, trade, and transit. European Georgia. Few nations in the world offer as much diversity as Georgia. Although the same size as Ireland, it has the highest mountains in Europe. From glaciers to beaches, alpine meadows to semi-desert, forests cover 40% of the country. It has the most widely diverse, compact landscape in the world. Georgia is the cradle of wine. Here, 7,000 years ago, man first discovered the art of winemaking. There are over 500 unique varieties of grapes here. Wine is made using ancient techniques in giant clay amphora, which have begun to win international awards. Everywhere you look in Georgia, there are mountaintop churches, castles, and ancient wine cellars. Georgia, the home of hospitality, where guests are considered a gift from God. The heart of Georgia is Tbilisi, one of the most picturesque cities in the world. Set amongst hills and mountains, it is full of ancient churches, castles, and a thriving cafe and art scene. Long a multicultural city, it has become a business hub for the whole region in recent years.
Located in the Caucasus region of Eurasia, Georgia is a small country with a population of 4.5 million. It is centered between the Black and Caspian Seas and is bordered to the north by Russia and to the south by Turkey. Ancient Georgian manuscripts state that Kartlos, the great-grandson of biblical Japheth, settled in the region of Georgia. Sakartvelo is the name native Georgians call their nation, after Kartlos, the patriarch of Georgians. Despite its size, Georgia has a history of 3,000 years, tracing back to the ancient kingdoms of Colchis in Iberia. Georgia is mentioned in Greek mythology, figuring Jason, a Greek Argonaut, and Medea, a Georgian princess. Jason and his band of Argonauts set out on a quest to Georgia in search for a golden fleece to claim his kingdom in Thebes. Georgian is the official language of Georgia. It is one of the 7 alphabets in the world. It is also one of the hardest languages to learn. Christianity spread to Georgia in the 3rd century, making it one of the first Christian countries. In the 18th century, Russia and the Eastern Georgian Kingdom signed a treaty according to which Georgia received protection from Russia. Despite Russia's commitment to defend Georgia, it rendered no assistance when the Turks and Persians invaded in 1785, completely devastated and massacred its inhabitants. Russia dethroned the Georgian throne and arrested the king. Russia then forced Georgia to take an oath under the imperial crown of Russia. Those who disagreed were arrested. In the beginning of 20th century, Georgia gained independence from Russia and started the process of joining the European nations. Russia agreed to give Georgia independence only on one condition: if the country would become neutral, since at the time Georgia was under the protection of France and England. Georgia made a mistake in trusting Russia and becoming neutral, which caused the English and French troops to leave the country. 6 months later, the Red Army invaded and occupied Georgia for the next 70 years. Since Georgia didn't want to repeat their past mistake of staying neutral, the country is in the process of democracy. This is the reason Russia punished Georgia, breaking away 2 regions and starting the War of 2008. Thousands were killed, and others were driven out of their homes.
We'd heard the explosions and arrived minutes later at these apartment blocks, which had taken direct hits. Apparently the bombs were intended for a nearby military base. We saw the casualties being carried away from the rubble. In all, 13 civilians were killed, including this man. His brother clinging to the belief he might still be alive. Soon, other distraught members of the family started arriving. Amongst them, the man's mother-in-law, Nino Mestopashvili. She was comforted by the regional governor. She'd found out she'd also lost her daughter, who was 7 months pregnant.
The moments after a bomb attack in the Georgian town of Gori. As small blasts ring out, the cameraman filming this footage takes cover. When he resumes filming, the bodies of civilians lie where they fell.
Oh no!
At least 5 people were killed here. Among them, Stan Storemans, a Dutch cameraman for European broadcaster RTL. Colleagues try in vain to give aid, loading him into the back of a car. RTL says the 39-year-old had worked in hotspots around the world for 20 years and had planned to write a book about his experiences. A Dutch correspondent was also wounded in the same attack. Reporting the 5 days of fighting between Georgian and Russian troops has proved extremely dangerous. At least 2 other journalists have been killed. Andrew Potter, Reuters.
Since the war, Georgia has grown rapidly in economics, relationship with other countries, and tourism.
As the old saying goes, when it comes to business, it's all about location, location, location. Georgia's position on the historic Silk Road puts it at the crossroads of Asia and Europe. It's the shortest land route between east and west. This trade hub directly connects 830 million people. Georgia played host to the world's first oil pipeline and continues to serve a vital function in the transport of hydrocarbons. BP's newly constructed BTC pipeline carries 1.2 million barrels of oil per day and is one of the longest in the world. It positions Georgia on the global energy map as one of the most reliable transit countries in the world. Georgia's Black Sea ports of Batumi and Poti and its railway network provide direct and speedy access for the 5 landlocked countries of Central Asia to the world.
Ჩვენ ავაშენებთ
Most importantly, on April 4th, 2009, the NATO heads of state released a joint statement after the Strasbourg-Kiel summit, pledging to maximize their advice, assistance, and support for Georgia's reform efforts. The statement reiterated that the country will become a NATO member, but did not specify the time. It reaffirmed NATO's continued support for the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Georgia within its internationally recognized borders. The statement said that Russia has not completely complied with its commitments undertaken under the August 12th and September 8th ceasefire accords and called for Moscow to revert its recognition of Georgia's breakaway republics of Abkhazia and South Ossetia.
ოცნების ქალაქი 14 აპრილიდან საქართველოს კინოთეატრებში.